Man, Rooster, it's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere.
Welcome.
You know.
This is that show, baby.
Bishop.
I'm Rooster.
We got the refills.
Yep. We're talking about people making all kinds of crazy shit.
Yep.
Advancing our race.
Just going through the motions and figuring out how to make life a little better for themselves and everybody else.
Right. And everybody else who can afford it.
Who can afford it. Before we move on, I wanted to talk about this quick thing that I thought was really interesting, but it's really scary at the same time. So, people in technology, these programmers, they're getting really, really crazy. They're getting really, really innovative, right? So and you'll have to research this later on, but there's this thing called a flipper. Have you seen a flipper?
No.
You all need to be very aware of what a flipper is. Flipper is a little handheld device, okay?
Oh, it's like one of those little flip phones that you... No.
I wish. But think about everybody's cars nowadays, because they're the newer cars. Almost everything's a key fob.
Yeah.
Right? And you use your phones, and you can monitor your shit on your computer, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Well, some little crazy ass decided that he was going to build this little device that reads the modulating signal that your key fob puts off, so that if you're in close proximity, you can copy it. And so when somebody leaves their car and goes into a store or something,
you can mimic that signal and get into the car? Wow.
Start the car, anything.
Wow.
And you can buy these little devices for like $300.
Wow.
Now, this is not an example of a good invention.
Plenty of negatives to come from the positives. Good to consider.
Yeah. I mean, I would have understood if you're just trying to, get your garage door to work, but
right.
Not have access to people's cars.
Right. That kind of blows my mind. I mean, I love this whole thing with the Teslas and how they all have cameras completely surrounding it. I've seen so many videos of people just coming up all pissed off and like keying the fuck out of a Tesla, and then you find out they got charged fucking $20,000 for vandalism, and fucking you're like, damn right.
Yeah.
Don't go fucking around with people's fucking cars.
You don't mess with a man's car.
Yeah, seriously.
Even if it is a beater.
Even if it is a beater. I mean, that's the thing. Somebody keyed my car, I probably wouldn't even notice.
Gonna have to wash it first.
Yeah, right. I'm like, is this some dirt stain on here?
That's new? I don't remember that one.
Did I run off into some shrubbery or something?
But I think, that we'll come back to that at another time, and we'll bring some more examples for everybody to kind of research and do on their own. But I feel like everything that's going on and how chaotic the world is.
Yeah.
I mean, just how separated everybody is. Why don't people just take this season, turn off the news, put your phones down, go spend a couple hours a day in your local area, go meet some new people, go figure out what's really around you that's outside of the four walls that you always sit in.
Right.
I feel like people would be much better off and much happier and find a much more uniform sense of comfort and safety if they knew where they lived and they knew what they had around them.
Yeah.
And they knew the things what was going on, as opposed to feeling like the whole world is encroaching all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, the world is encroaching in a sense of, not necessarily a sense of population. We talked about that because the population isn't really necessarily growing.
Yeah.
It's becoming more densely packed in certain areas, but it's not really growing. But the technology seems to be just like really wrapping around everybody's daily activities.
Yeah.
Things like Snapchat and TikTok and all that stuff. And how people would much rather spend their free time looking at somebody else's life as opposed to living their own.
Right, exactly.
Why? I mean,
it's an easier hit of dopamine. I mean, it's understandable.
Sure.
It requires no effort.
Sure.
And you literally just get that satisfaction and you move on to the next video. Well, you were just talking about some country.
Yeah, I don't remember which country it is, but some country, maybe it's the U.S., I don't know, but there's a country that's wanting to sue TikTok because They say it causes brain damage.
Brain damage.
It changes the way your brain thinks, and it's addictive, and it's a malicious app. Not the first time we've heard that,
right? But again, this comes back to the whole problem of, do people self-regulate themselves, or do the government regulate it for us?
But whereas,
do people realize they shouldn't eat a fucking burger from McDonald's 3 times a day for every meal and do it themselves? Or do you have the government come in and say, no, we're going to tax hamburgers every time? I think you leave it up to the people. You let people ruin their lives with fucking TikTok if that's what they're going to do.
And I don't disagree with you, but I feel like the world would be a much better place, and that's what I'm saying, is that they had more personal connection to the environment they lived in.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
100%. Got out a little bit, talk to your community, even to know what's around.
I'm not saying go hug a bunch of trees.
Yeah,
I'm saying going out and see what's around.
What's next door.
Yeah.
What's across the street from you.
Do you know your neighbors? You might have another pastime, is like, you may love your neighbors, you may hate them. You may, want to hang out with your neighbors, or you may plot against them. I don't know. I mean, these are things you can make TikToks about it, and I'm sure people would watch it.
I feel like there's been tons of Karen content recently. I don't know if you've been seeing it, but
I mean, I've seen some. I've seen some, and the one that I saw, which was hilarious. It was like a 3-part series. This guy goes in and does a service call at this lady's house, right? She called the company. They came out. They did the work. She refused to pay it, even after she signed the invoice.
The thing that said she would pay it.
And she's beating on the window.
Bashing on his window, trying to get in.
And then she's telling the cops that she never hit the car. She wasn't arguing. She wasn't doing this or that. And it was like, are you serious?
Dude.
Like, people honestly think that phones don't exist.
Yeah.
Like, there's cameras literally
everywhere.
Literally. Everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, speaking of that fact, I almost don't want to travel anymore without having a little IR sensor, so when I go stay in a hotel now, I can scan the room and see if somebody's watching me scratch my nuts.
Put a blanket over the lamp. And they're getting more reckless. Like, you'll see in, like, I think they did it in that same video of, like, a Karen where she's like, oh my god, and then she just falls and faints on the ground and goes, oh, he hit me, help me, please. And you're like, do you not realize that I'm recording you right now? Like,
it's bad.
It's so bad, dude.
It's bad.
But those Karens are breeded from everyday people like us. It's like people are getting away with, using saying that offensive language is tearing them down, and like people are getting away with that kind of thing, so it's becoming more acceptable.
And I feel like
instead of just being offended and going on with your fucking day.
Let's talk about this. So I read an article about a week ago about OnlyFans. Okay, huge site.
Yeah.
I mean, massive. I honestly don't know how many users, but massive.
Millions of dollars in revenue probably an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I was reading about this, is that the average content creator, being young women between the ages of 18 and 25, on average make $15,000 to $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
A month! Now, if you think about that, how many people are sitting at home paying for that content because they don't leave their house, they don't meet anybody? And it kind of correlates back to why we have a decline in birth rate, is because the social disconnect and not having any responsibility and having instant pleasure and instant dopamine.
Living in the fantasy,
Oh my God. Oh my God. What are you talking about? This is a very disturbing trend.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's funny because I can acknowledge that, but I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people who don't go out of my house, who don't fucking go, socialize with people, and really I should. But it's so easy to get caught up in that trend of just doing whatever satisfies you in the moment. We have these primitive brains that evolved to just seek pleasure over anything else because that's what made us survive. When pleasure was so scarce and hard to find.
You know what I do when I do that?
What?
Eat a cookie.
Eat a cookie? That helps you get over it.
I'm like, I feel down. I'm going to eat a cookie. I feel better.
But But it's easy to label everyone and say everyone needs to be doing better, getting out and doing these stuffs. And then for me to go inside after this and do nothing and sit on my couch and watch fucking TikToks.
But I mean, it's like anything else. It's like every, eating, activities. I mean, everything in moderation.
Moderation. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Right.
Yeah.
But that barrier, that learned behavior has been totally dissolved.
Uh-huh.
Right. Because especially with your generation, you've only ever known technology.
Exactly.
And over the years, it's become more and more and more and more and more integrated to the point where if I took his phone from him and took him out into the woods, it wouldn't take very long for you to be like, I don't need it. I need crack.
I don't need it. I need it.
And that's, to me, it's like when we go fishing, right? That's perfect.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about anything except for tipping my hat down over my eyes, watching my line, drinking a beer, and just chilling.
See, that's where I know that I have hope for myself, because I can find peace and pleasure in those type of moments that require no stimulation, where it's just me and you sitting out on the side of the lake, and 6 hours have blown by of us just sitting there holding our reels and drinking the beer. So
and just waiting for that one nibble.
Yeah,
that one little nibble.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the reward.
Yeah.
That's the reward. Yeah.
Yeah, we should go out again.
We need to. We need to get our licenses.
Now that it's getting warm. Yeah.
We need to start going again.
Yeah.
But the thing is when you have a real activity like that, there's also something that happens is that the stress of the world kind of dissipates. Yeah. Right? You forget about the immediacy of what you thought was important.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right? What's been shoved down your throat and at the front of your brain for weeks. Yeah.
It's like I used to always think when I was younger, and I would see these older couples walk around in the evening hours, and they would watch the sunset and everything, and I would think, it's nice, but it's not for me.
You're like, fags.
Now I'm like, that's nice. That's nice, because those are moments those are things you always see something different. There's always some different experience that happens, or maybe it's a moment of reflection, in the evening, and being able to decompress and things like that. And I don't know, man. You look at the way the world is, and people don't appreciate themselves enough to decompress. Yeah. It seems like it just compiles and it compiles and it compiles and it compiles and it compiles to the point where people just get to a point where they won't break. Yeah. And we wonder why we have a mental health issue in the world. Yeah. I mean, you don't see nearly as much of this in third world countries. Right.
Somebody who's worried about finding fucking water every day. They're not necessarily as worried about it.
They take that first drink and they're like, yeah, one more day coming.
Looks like I'm making it to tomorrow. Yeah, seriously though. Right.
And we're worried about the goddamn microwave's broken. How am I going to cook anything?
Right. It's funny because I've always put that into this box in my mind and visualized it as like, oh, it's the younger generation figuring things out, learning things. But I've started to realize lately that even adults, they're just grown-up kids who if they haven't learned and gone through those experiences, they're still in the exact same boat of inexperience of figuring things out or being unsatisfied because they're just living on quick pleasure, like we said, disposability of everything that we do and everything that we deal with every day.
And when we look at individuals that are in, let's say they're older, and they haven't had proper social interaction or acceptance, and if they finally do start venturing out and then they are accepted, their lives change dramatically, right? They're not so drawn to a four-walled, cell,
a cave that they live in. Hide in. Yeah,
and they become much more interactive with their environment and the people around them, and their lives are much more fulfilling. And I mean, me personally, I'd just like to see more people do that this year. Yeah, beer, because there is over the last 2 years, you think about the craziness we've gone through, right? And we're going to have a whole nother topic about this on our next series, about how over the last 2 years, this deal with this sickness and these vaccinations and things like that have like made a huge impact across multi-facets of our everyday life, right? And now all of a sudden it's quiet. It's like crickets.
Right.
Right? Like, we're just kidding. Come back. It's fine. And nobody wants to go back.
Yeah.
And now you have all these people that are literally living in their domiciles that have no social interaction because they have no physical income, but yet I don't understand that because people are buying the shit out of everything.
Right.
So unless the entire world now has an OnlyFans account, I do not know where it's coming from.
It's especially scary when you think about the younger generation and how this impacted even like my cousin who was like 14, his whole class of people, hearing about his friends just terrified to come to school or do all this stuff. The strain that this has caused in our society is unmatched from anything that we've had in the last 100 years or whatever, you know.
And I feel like the lack of social interaction is what's really prolonged all this, is that if there were more social interaction from the beginning, just like other countries have done, herd immunity, we would have achieved that way faster and had a higher resistance to everything that's going on. We have some really crazy shows coming up here in the near future.
Yeah. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments things you want us to hear us talk about. Like we said, per usual, tell us we're dumb, we're stupid. We want to understand why.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do it.
You know, I don't know. Help us get a little more. We lost a subscriber.
What?
We did.
What are we down to 76 now?
69.
69?
That's not a bad number.
I'll take it.
But
we appreciate everyone who watches.
Everybody that's been with us all the way through, thank you very much. And unless the next round's on you guys, we gotta go. Cheers.
That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to, that show.